thing. How's the experience going through the press conferences and everything like that?
It's really cool. You know, I mean, it's a little nerve-wracking. I've never done anything this big, but you know, I just roll the punches, go with the flow, and you know, that's my personality. I kind of like to freestyle a little bit and take it on the fly.
Do you like the attention like that?
Either way, whether I got it or I don't, as long as I'm fighting, I'm happy.
Has your routine changed at all compared to what you used to do in the WC?
No, everything stays the same. Still training with the same people, doing the same routine day in, day out. Still eating Olive Garden after weigh-ins and having a good time with it.
You're coming into this fight as an underdog. Do you relish that role?
I don't see myself as an underdog. I know everybody else does, and that's fine. I'll take it. I've accepted it. You know, I've accepted the war with a tough guy, and we're going to go in there and bang it out.
What's the customary Olive Garden meal?
Oh, chicken Alfredo, man. Chicken Alfredo and breadsticks. I know it's not the healthiest. It's probably not the best, but it's. I mean, it's been tradition for the last 7-8 years.
You're obviously a long ways from the Hammond Civic Center. You've talked to me a little bit about not being in your element in the big city, and talk a little bit about being able to get past that as a co-main event all of a sudden when you just were a prelim fight on 4 of your last 5 shows.
Yeah, big cities. I'm not a big city person at all. I live in a small hometown, and I got an acre of land on a quote-unquote farmhouse. You know, it's not a farmhouse, but it is a farmhouse. You know, it's just, that's my area. It's my comfort zone. I like staying in my comfort zone, and you know, I just do what I do day in and day out, and I try not to deviate from what I'm doing. And you know, with all the press coverage and this and that, as long as it's not interfering with my daily routine. You know, my workouts always come first. I try to schedule every interview in between my workouts. So I mean, it's kind of working around my schedule. If I get to them, I get to them. If I don't, then training is the absolute first priority.
The countdown show, Eddie talks about how much you drove. How many miles do you put on a week, do you think?
Last year I drove 36,000 miles. You know, I know there's people that drive a lot more than that, but I mean, for the average person, 36,000 miles is just ridiculous. I drive 120 miles almost round trip, a little more, and then I've got another gym that I go to that's another 40 miles round trip. So I mean, I'm driving close to 200 miles a day.
So your home is, where is your home?
It's Westville, Indiana, Chesterton, Indiana.
And you drive to Chicago?
I drive to the north side of Chicago in Niles.
And the other one is?
The other one is in Hobart, Indiana.
Okay.
Do you do anything during that time while you're driving?
Thinking. I'm just thinking nothing but fighting. How am I going to beat this guy? What's his weaknesses? You know, I mean, if you're in the car for 3 hours, you know, well, an hour and a half each way, I rounded up 3 hours. But you know, that's a lot of thinking time. So you know, it's kind of my reflection period and my downtime. And you know, my downtime isn't sitting on my couch watching a movie or relaxing. My downtime is sitting in my car driving to the next gym.
So you're obviously living where you are. You're used to the winter, but there must have been some hairy moments driving this winter.
There was one time that I didn't make it to the gym. I was driving down the toll road, and we come around the corner, and the car was, I mean, it's literally skating all the way sideways down the road. And I mean, luckily I grew up around motors and cars. I knew how to counter steer and pulled it out. And we said, I looked at my buddy and said, we're turning around, going back home.
And can I ask, how much weight do you cut? What do you normally walk around at the start of it?
I came in, I weighed 149 on Tuesday when I flew in. I think I was 152 on Monday. So about 152, I cut roughly 16 pounds.
And does chicken Alfredo ever pass your lips other than right after a fight?
No. I mean, when I'm not training for a fight, you know, I mean, I love to cook. So I mean, I'm always cooking, you know, pastas and stuff that's not good for me. I think in my off season I got up to like 156, and I mean, I watch the Cooking Network, so that probably has to do with it.
Have you ever thought about moving, Eddie, or
no? Never once. Never once has crossed my mind. When I was younger, maybe, you know, like 19, 20, 21, still young in the sport, but now I seem to hit my rhythm. You know, I'm training with a bunch of good guys. What I'm doing is working for me, so I really don't feel like deviating from it.
On the countdown show, Uriah talked about how a lot of guys have said they're going to be the ones to really test his chin, and he's been in there with all these guys like Jose Aldo, and it hasn't happened. What makes you think that you're the guy that's going to be the one to test his chin like that?
You look at Manny Tapia, you look at George Roop, anybody I fought, really. I mean, George Roop, his claim to fame was I've never been dropped, I've never been rocked. I put him on his ass 4 or 5 times in that fight. You know, same thing with Tapia. I understand Tapia got knocked out by Miguel. That was the first time he's ever been dropped. He'd never been dropped before that. I put one punch on him, he fell. I possess a lot of power for a 135-pound guy, and Uriah's really good. He's going to feel it. You know, he's going to see whether, you know, he may have a chin made out of granite, you know, but we're going to find out.
That much power, was it something you always had, something you developed?
You know, it's I don't know what it is. If it's just that I turn my hips and I'm so unorthodox, and I don't swing wide. I swing right. You know, I corrected my punches, and they seem to they just start coming harder and harder. And everybody that holds pads for me, they say, Jesus, you know, for a 135 pounder, you hit like a 170 pounder. So.
Even from the beginning, when you first start sparring, guys kind of give you that reaction too.
Yeah, but it was a little uglier. It was kind of doing this, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've always had power in my hands. You know, it's just refining it and refining my punch and bringing it straight down the pipe has really helped it to be more powerful.
What's the significance behind all this?
Para estar más informado, visita www.enoctagono.com.